The Ochokochi, or Ocho for short, was responsible for arguably, and also in my opinion, the worst meta in the history of war robots. And after some brutal nerfs, it can still hold its own in the meta when properly built. This is an extensive guide on how to build and play the Ocho, covering exactly how the Ocho works and how to play it, and going in depth on which weapons, drones, specializations, pilots, and pilot skills to use. I'll only be covering a few different weapons for Ocho, including its signature weapons, but not every weapon family will be mentioned, so if you were interested in a particular weapon or just had any questions in general, don't hesitate to ask me about it in the comments. I will be showcasing two different Ocho throughout this guide, one at Mark II level 1 with a showdown drone at level 4, and specializations at low level, so it will be more accurate to what a free-to-play experience might be like. And on the flip side, the other Ocho is at Mark III with a completely maxed drone, and more leveled specializations. They will share a pilot however, since Memoriam is a scarce resource and mine seems to disappear way too quickly. The focus of this guide will be on both of the Ochos rather than just the Mark II one, since there is quite a difference in the performance between them. And you can easily tell which Ocho is which by the paint job. This guide is targeted towards players of higher leagues, mainly Masters and Champions, so if you are in a lower league, take what I say with a grain of salt for some aspects of Ocho. Mainly its level and weapon choices that I say are not worth running on it will perform differently in the lower leagues. I will also go over how far to upgrade Ocho in order for it to be usable, which is very important this time around, and if it's worth it for you to invest your resources into it. By community vote, I will be adding a new section into my guides based on how replaceable each robot is, and which robots can replace them. And please do make sure to check the pinned comment for any post-video notes, like showcase weapon levels, how to actually obtain Ocho, and a whole bunch of additions and corrections. And the final thing before I start, a ton of time and effort goes into these guides, so leaving a like or maybe even subscribing would make my day. Thank you so much. And with that out of the way, let's fly right into it.
Like you trying to get stuck in it. In the air.
From day 1, Ochokochi was extremely broken and was patched within the next update, fixing the extreme knockback and fixing the cooldown to 12 seconds. Starting off with Ochokochi's actual nerfs, and it got a lot of them. First, its magnetic field damage, then its DOT damage reduction. Its ability was cut in half. Its cooldown was durability again, slower speed, and acceleration again, duration, which means it takes damage faster. Literally not one aspect was left alone when it came to nerfing this thing, and it has been whacked by the nerf hammer so many times, I feel like it should get an award or something. But despite this, Ocho is still one of the kings of brawling, and the best bot for tossing enemies off of beacons and ledges. Ocho's firepower is good, with a cool 2 light and 2 medium slots. Ocho's ability is called Stampede, and when activated, Ocho accelerates forward in almost a ghost-like state, and activates a special defense, which converts all damage except damage from blast charge or resonance effects into DOT damage. During this charge, which lasts for 6 seconds, Ocho also activates a built-in weapon which causes AoE damage, which does 5,500 per wave and almost 70,000 throughout the entire ability. The wave also knocks normal robots away, which can be very beneficial for beacon capping. Is it worth it for you to invest into Ocho? If you are free to play, absolutely not. Well, let me clarify. If you're in Masters League, then a Mark II Ocho will serve you just fine and is a good investment. But if you're looking for a competitive hanger in Champions League, then the Ocho is not a good pick for free to play. All bots benefit from being highly invested into, but the Ocho has a really high investment cap compared to other bots, and basically needs its Mark III, a good drone, and a highly leveled pilot to function against the meta. If you already have a solid hanger, then Ocho is a great bot to work towards building, since I'm pretty positive it won't get any more nerfs. Ocho can be replaced by other brawlers that are more effective in doing the actual in-your-face brawling, like Raptor or Revenant. Both of these can be direct replacements to Ocho, due to both of them having similar gray damage tanking capabilities. Ocho is best played as a second or a third drop, long enough into the game where your mothership is charged and all of the beacons have been capped so that Ocho can steal some back. It is also best to build it as tanky and with as much healing and health as possible. It is not worth sacrificing any of these traits for more speed or damage. Using your ability based on the situation is key to playing Ocho right. It should mostly be used defensively, by saving your ability until something attacks you or to get someone off a beacon are some good ways to do this. Additionally, if on low health, Ocho can run across the entire map to escape. although using it offensively to guarantee the cap on one of your home beacons or to finish off a kill is also a good option. EMP and Lockdown are also things to avoid when running Ocho, so be wary of those effects. Ocho's best maps are hands down maps with a balance of lots of cover and open spaces, so think Springfield, Ground Zero, or Dead City, and places to throw enemies off. Castle is the best for this. Getting Ocho under the bridge is a prime spot for trolling, since any normal bot coming down the ramp will be thrown off the map. The newer bots, including Dux, Samjock, and Ravager, seem to be more affected by Ocho's knockback than the older ones, and don't need an incline to be thrown around. A common mistake I see people do when playing Ocho is playing it like it's still meta. Ocho has to be played a lot more conservatively now, and cannot take as much damage before failing.
In the air.
Ocho has two pilots, Vepco and 7. Starting with Vepco, he provides 1 defense point for every stack of DOT. Ocho accumulates a ton of DOT stacks in battle. I usually find that it caps out at around 75 to 100 if an enemy is shooting at you. Without him, the damage reduction is alright. You can see the difference here with and without him. 7 provides a guaranteed 15% healing and an additional 10% healing based on the damage done when the ability is over. However, I did find that the second part of the healing will only activate when Ocho's ability is replenished again, and that creates a bit of downtime. When comparing the two, it's a bit like Imugi's pilots. I recommend 7 for free-to-play players since it's easier to get more value out of her in Masters League, and I recommend Vepco for whoever is planning to really invest into Ocho. Ocho has Deft Survivor, which of course is priority number 1, although Ocho is often dropped to below 50% while in ability, making it not activate. Ocho has a ton of health, healing, and defense skills, so you want as many as you can. Module skills are the only other ones I would consider, as speed and damage skills are useless.
In the air.
For low levels, the usual showdown at level 4 is the absolute best in slot, although it might not activate in ability due to DOT, functioning and doing damage too slowly, although it is still better than the next best options of Shy, Reviver, or Starter. For max drones, again, the usual Shy is best, since Ocho can run in and out of situations, building up defense points and becoming ever more difficult to take out. Seeker is also a fine option. I do want to mention the Hyruko, which is the drone that was released with Ocho, and it's not as good as Shy, but is still good on Ocho. It must be at least level 9 in order to function, and level 12 gives Ocho a large damage boost if it takes damage in ability or uses a module, which is useful but expensive to obtain. Ochokochi has access to the Brawler path, which means it's better to pick than both defense and attack. I can't think of any reason why someone would use this module over the Repair Amplifier, so no matter what bot you use that has Brawler, always pick the Repair Amp. The Immune Amp can actually be better than the Last Stand in Ocho's case. DOT bypasses all defense points including the Last Stand, rendering the Last Stand useless unless caught outside the ability. Ocho has quite a few active modules that work for it, those being the usual repair units and unstable conduit. Phase Shift is also good on Ocho, being able to instantly get rid of any DOT on Ocho, and potentially saving it from death. Although if you run Phase Shift with Vepco, it will instantly remove his defense points. Due to the acceleration, Jump Unit can be used with Ocho, just not as effectively as some other bots. I would only use it if you run the healing weapons, just to make up the damage from the lack of repair.
In the air.
You can find my rankings for these in the pinned comment as well as some extra weapon reviews, but I quickly wanted to mention weapons like the Ice Rockets and the Flames, whose problems are amplified by the ability. They are projectiles that take time to travel, and with the enemies being blasted around by the Stampede, it is very difficult for the average player to actually hit anything with them, which is why I don't particularly recommend them. I wanted to include these because that's what I see a large amount of Ochos running nowadays. They carry well over 1 million damage per clip without any nuclear amps, which is actually around the same as the Gangil and Mogwan, but they come with two massive downsides. They have a 10-second reload and 100 meters of range. And you know what else conveniently has 100 meters of range? Ocho's ability that knocks enemies away, which means the only way you will do damage consistently with these weapons is without using your ability, which is a trade-off. The weapons released with Ocho are alright. They fire slowly but do almost 400,000 damage per clip, and are very consistent in their damage output. They tend to have an added slowdown effect, but that's rarely useful. Okay, real talk. These have been in almost every guide I've made so far, and I think I might really like these weapons. They just work well on a multitude of bots and feel very satisfying to play, and their sound is immaculate. Coming in with over 500,000 damage per clip, these can act as a counterbalance to all the damage coming in and allow for greater survivability, which is what Ocho is all about. A bit of a switch up in terms of playstyle, not particularly the best for brawling, but an extremely fun weapon to use. Carrying over 500,000 damage per clip at 500 meters of range allows for unexpected bursts of damage while hitting enemies over arcs or from behind cover. Not really related to the weapons, but some of my most fun and most memorable games while testing were with them. I feel as if these are a bit underrated. Maybe I have to do an underrated weapons list in the future. Let me know. These do over 1 million damage in less than 1 minute and provide an Aegis shield for a little bit of protection. They also completely ignore all energy shields, which makes them effective against the new sword unit, but they do only have 150 meters of range, and since Ocho's ability has 100 meters of range, there's actually a 50 meter window where you won't push an enemy away when trying to do damage. Only using 3 because I don't have another Gangil do over 100,000 damage per shot, and can melt even my baby account's Luchador with almost 1 million HP. Extremely broken. Will be nerfed. Status, do not invest. Thank you for making it to the end. I really hoped you enjoyed, and please remember to see the pinned comment, and let me know if you run an Ocho. I actually enjoy playing it more now than when it was at the top of the meta. But anyways, thank you again, and I will see you in the next one.